Hey, welcome to the second episode of the 806-411 podcast by the Scott Toman team, where we go over what's going on in Lubbock and just talk about a little bit of real estate and what's going on. And I am here at the Wonder Tree Studios. Thank you very much for hosting us here. And I'm your host, Scott Toman, and my co-host, Travis Toman, along with Devin Jaspers. And today we are welcomed by our new mayor, Tray Payne. Welcome, Tray.
Welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on today.
Well, man, we were talking about who in the world can we get to come to our podcast, and I'm like, well, let's get the most important person in Lubbock, Texas now.
You're reaching on that right now. I can tell you that much.
Oh, man. Please tell us a little bit about how you got started, where you came from.
Well, I never thought I'd be sitting in this chair having a conversation about being mayor of Lubbock. Growing up in Post, Texas, small town kid. My dad was the local little town pharmacist, and we were just pretty normal, middle class, really good small town growing up. Your biggest thing in the summertime was getting to go to the swimming pool when it opened.
Yeah.
It just always going to be a Red Raider. Not a lot of people went to college in my side of the family. My dad kind of broke that mold. He went to the Navy, and then when he got out of the Navy, he was working in the oil field. And I think my mom kind of said, "Hey, it's time for you to go do something else." And so he went to college on the GI Bill and ended up getting his pharmacy degree. And then we ended up in Post, Texas, and had a small pharmacy there. Grew up there. Went to Texas Tech. As all good West Texas boys do, we were going to be Red Raiders, and graduated with an accounting degree in 1996. Don't ask me why. I was going to be an accountant. It sounded like a really good idea at the time. Like, you can get a job. My dad's deal was like, go get a degree if you're going to go to college, but get a job.
Right.
That was, because you're out, man. When you turn 18, man, here you go. And after I graduated with my accounting degree, I decided, I like people. I like people. I like to talk. And I got a job with an auditing firm here locally, and you're sitting in an office all day long, and it's like, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that are accountants and CPAs. Most of them are all smarter than me for sure, but I was not going to do that forever. And so I went to law school. I went to Oklahoma and went to law school at Oklahoma City University in Oklahoma City, obviously, and spent 3 years there. Met my wife, Heidi. In 2000, we got married, and then we had our first daughter 10 months later, and she's turned 21 yesterday, in fact, Mabry Payne. Oh. So we have 4 daughters, and, we've been living in Lubbock the last 22 years. I try not to bore you guys too much, but, just living, man, right? I got here in 92, left for a few years, but man, I've just been a Lubbock guy. I'm a West Texas guy, and this is the place I love and where my family's from. So that's that's a little bit tiny background about me, but that's kind of who I am, just a normal guy.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, we talked about it last week that we were excited that you were coming, and I told the guys, I said, we were at an awards banquet, remember, at Trinity? Yeah. And the 2 old guys, me and Trey, got up. We
Absolutely.
Standing in the back, and Trey looks at me and says, "Man, I'm so glad you're here at Trinity." And I said, "Well, thank you very much, Trey." He said, "Because now I'm not the oldest." I was like,
I'm glad I'm not the oldest dad standing in the back.
That's right. That's
we definitely have younger kids than a lot of these other men and women. So.
Yeah. Well, man, I'll tell you what, your daughter Hadley, she just raked in the awards that night.
Yeah, she's smart like her mama. That's for sure. Don't put any of that on me.
So getting into the attorney side of it, I mean, I know you like people, you like to talk, and man, I've heard nothing but great stories about you defending people and doing what you're supposed to do. Tell us a little bit about that. What's that like, standing in a trial room, and every eyes are pointed at you, and you're trying to do the right thing?
Well, when I came back to Lubbock, I worked for a small firm, a small legal firm here, and then we found out my daughter was coming along, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need insurance." I'm making like $18,000 a year. You can barely make your loan payment. A lot of people understand that when you get out of school.
Sure.
And Bill Souter was the district attorney, and Bill, I met him in the hallway one day, and I think they were looking for some new young prosecutors, And he said, "Hey, you interested in visiting with me?" And I said, "Absolutely. I'd love to visit with you. Do you have benefits?" Yes. And so I came over and met with Judge Souter, and I walked out of the room. He goes, "Man, I'm excited about it. When can you get started?" I said, "Let me tell my boss, but 2 weeks. I mean, I need to get started." He said, "You're hired." And the next day, his secretary calls me and says, "Hey, you're going to have to come back to the interview team. When can you come in?" I said, "Wait a minute, hold on. I already quit my job. I thought I was starting with insurance in a couple of weeks, but ultimately it worked out. And I started there in early 2001. And, when the district attorney's office is kind of your foot in the door. You start out trying misdemeanor cases and DWIs, assaults, those kind of things. And then you work your way up. But most people come and go. It's kind of a starter thing. And I ended up staying there for nearly 9 years, ended up being the chief of homicide, tried multiple death penalty cases and homicide cases. And then I left in 2009 to start my private practice. And then, so I've been on both sides of the aisle. I've done defense work. We do a lot of real estate, as you know. We do a pretty, general practice to a certain extent. And so I've been doing that for 13 years. And my old boss, Matt Powell, who's the DA, joined me about 3 years ago. One of my partners, Lori Truitt's been with me for about 12 years. So we got 5 lawyers, we got 3 locations, and we do real estate and some other things. And, just courtroom, though, man, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
That's the fun spot. Any closing arguments, like closing a deal on a real estate property.
That's exactly
man.
right.
That's where you want to be.
But so your life has changed just a little bit, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I'm not trying near as many cases these days, that's for sure.
Right. So, I mean, I don't really know, but how much time out of your day, I guess there's no really certain time when you're doing mayor stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? How does that work into your schedule already, or you just got to make time? I know when I saw you at the expo, you said, "Man, we're working 20-hour days right now, just getting caught up."
Well, that's a really good question for people to know, because one of the reasons I stepped into public service, ultimately I think you're bent this way or not, right? My dad was a Boy Scout. He was in the Rotary Club and was on the school board. I mean, you're kind of bent that way. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's part of my chemical makeup. But my goal was to say, look, we got to get more people involved. We got to get more young people like this involved. Not all us old guys. Right. Getting people to get into the process, to get more involved in our local government where you can truly make a difference. But the big question is, to have time. And that's a big question people have, but you can make it work. It is very possible to do this. I've just now learned to turn my computer on and where the bathroom is down at Citizens Tower. So I'm pretty green, right? Yeah. But it's going to work out. We're going to be able to work this through. You get adjust and adapt to the scheduling and wanting to meet with people and learn to pick your priorities, just like any other business. Yeah. I'm still working. I'm working a little less, but I've got priorities have shifted. My clients are still a huge priority, but the city of Lubbock is also the huge priority. And so you work those together. I was at Citizens Tower all day yesterday, meeting with people and talking with department heads, but I won't go there probably the next few days, right? Because there's other things I'm doing. I'll probably go up Friday, sign some documents, but we need people to know that you can be involved in your government, whether that's on committees, whether you're running for office, whatever it is, but we need people to get involved. And that was important to me, and one of the reasons why I did this.
Yeah, no, that's good. And, in our Lubbock Association of Realtors, they're very involved.
Correct.
On a state level and national level. And so we're very fortunate to have some good leadership there, and some of these younger guys are getting involved. And,
yes,
it's important. It's very important. We're excited about that for sure, that they're starting to step up and do some of that stuff.
Yeah, we may not make a difference in Washington, D.C. or, in Austin, but you can make a difference in your backyard.
Yeah.
And it can be, politically, it's more nonpartisan. Obviously, people have, their beliefs and their core beliefs, but you can make a difference, and we need people to know that. It's important.
Yeah. Trav, so how many houses do we have on the market?
I mean, right now we have 450 houses on the market. And I think our last podcast, we were in the 300. So it's going up. It's shifting a little bit, but still historically very low, about a month of inventory.
Yeah.
So
out of that, are quite a few of those
new
construction coming out of the ground? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'd say probably half.
Does it show the median, like what price range that it's.
Me on the spot right here.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's
Thanks,
anywhere
Dad.
from, yeah, I know,
Right.
right? I mean, from 250 to 400, you just can't go to a
Right.
house without multiple offers and whatnot. But
So about 250 of the 450 are new construction,
yeah,
and
good.
Well over half.
yeah, and
yeah.
you don't know what stage those are in. Some of those might not have broken ground yet, so
yeah.
it's definitely a shortage.
It's kind of like we talked about last week. Is most of our business right now is stuff that's not on the market. So we're having to go out there and dig and find,
And wait.
listings. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah.
And what's interesting is that that is across the state. We're not. It's not unique to Lubbock. We are seeing that in all major cities and growing areas. There's just not a lot of place to go. And ultimately, when you have inflation like we have right now, and from a municipal government point of view, it becomes a problem because people, if they can't find housing, they're not going to come here for jobs. And
Right.
then when you can go to Sonic and make $15 an hour, or go to this place and work 2 jobs, governments that need people to take the trash out, and sanitation departments and signal and traffic controls. I mean, we're having problems, like all businesses are, maintaining employment. You have inflation. You don't want to go up on taxes. You want to cut taxes if you can. So you got to find things to eliminate. And it becomes really difficult just because housing is one of those major issues. If you can't house people, you're not going to find employees.
Right.
So we've got there's a lot of lock and step that goes with your local businesses, your local real estate association, to try to help figure out those problems. And we're actively looking at those all the time.
Right. Have you seen a lot more development going out towards the airport that direction, and then also on the north side? Or where have you seen?
Well, with Leprino coming out here, I
Yeah.
mean, it's gonna be, that's Miss Patterson Harris's district. There will be interesting to see where people move out there into the Roosevelt district, out in the Ransom Canyon area. There's a lot going north Milwaukee. Got new schools being built in those directions. 146. We did some annexation of some areas east of I-27, right? I mean, and then other people are looking at annexation issues. So those are the fine lines where you go, all right, it sounds really good to chew these places up and put them in your city for tax base, but can we service them? Can the police get out there if there's a problem?
Right.
We can't handle what we have. So there's just a lot of those issues with growth that are happening right now that a lot of people are unaware, because they just want to turn their light on and have electricity, or flush the toilet and have water. So we're trying to stay ahead of it as best you can.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is one of the biggest items in your future that you want to try to get accomplished as the mayor?
Well, I mean, I had 3 things that I focused on. My number 1 priority is public safety. I mean, and I believe that public safety is the number 1 goal, or should be the number 1 priority of a local government. That's why local governments were created, right? In a city, what do you hire? You hire a sheriff, you hire a deputy. You're going to take care of the people. And that encompasses a lot of things. Now it's Lubbock Fire Rescue. That's dispatch for 911 calls, recruiting, retaining, and training police officers, making sure that you have good first response and 911 calls. Those are the important things that you have to focus on. And that is issue number 1. As you grow, you see a spike in crime, and we're seeing it. So that was number 1 issue. Government efficiency is a big deal to me. Having employees that are not always, just sitting for meetings for meeting's sake, but that we're being efficient with their time and with the city's time.
Right.
So we're looking at ways to maybe pare down some of the things at city council meetings and shore that up a bit, and being more efficient with our funds. And then the other big issue is infrastructure, focusing on street, road, mod package, the UDC, and things that come with that. Those are big issues that we're going to face this next cycle. And budget comes up in August.
Yeah. Well, that first one you mentioned with the first responders, it's so important, and Lubbock has always done a really good job. And it's just, like you said, when more people coming in, the more problems you're going to have. And I think Lubbock has done a pretty darn good job with what they've had to work with. And
yeah, growth creates problems, and there's some of them are good. You get new restaurants to eat at, but then you also have more people coming in, right?
Yeah.
It's the perpetual growth versus stagnation. You'd always rather be growing, right?
yeah, right, exactly.
What do you see happening to like the downtown area in the next 10 years?
Well, they've worked actively. You know, there's a downtown TIF. There's a committee. There's planning and things going on. You're seeing a lot of businesses that are looking to move there. I don't know. The question is to the next 10 years. I don't know. I think you're going to see revitalization happen because, again, as you grow, not everybody's going to want to keep going out to where, you know, the Southwest or the Northwest or the Northeast. And a lot of that, it's almost the whole saying, the worm always kind of turns, right? And you start to see businesses are come back in there. There's opportunities to buy buildings and create. And I think you'll see a revitalization in those areas. I think that's been pursued.
Yeah, I think it's already started for sure.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, Two Docks is down there. McDougal bought the building, and that's some reformation with, you know, Nuke's being down there, some other restaurants. People that live down there, Dan Williams, y'all know Dan's involved. Dan's heavily involved in that downtown development. Some of those guys know a whole lot about what's going on from the TIF board, but you'll see a change, I think, in 10 years for sure.
For sure.
There's a lot more places to live down there too, right?
That's right.
I mean, condos and apartments. And
I just prefer to see private development because I think that's more effective. I think all of us being in our business line would agree. Private development, you know, let the market develop that. You know, the government can be an assist, and I'm a big believer in government being a government of yes and trying to help people to grow their business. But not always where the government has to be the one to fund it because not everybody wants their tax dollars to go to everything else that in there is. So, again, those fine lines you walk in government. You know.
Yep. What about the Mayor's Marathon?
Well,
you're going to continue.
I'm in the Clydesdale division, boys. I don't know if
the younger ones come in. Huh?
Yeah, no, that Clydesdale division was over 200s, and now that probably has creeped up a little bit. You know, Marty Greer. I don't know if y'all know Marty. Marty started the Buffalo Springs triathlon. And then that is what the Lubbock Triathlon 70.3. It's a half triathlon is started by Mike and his wife Marty. And I'd like to see that name of it. Shouldn't be the Mayor's Marathon. I'm certainly not qualified. But if we're going to do those things, we need to find it. It doesn't need to be named after a mayor. It needs to be named after somebody that matters, not me.
Yeah. Participation. Are you going to participate?
I'm more of a 6K kind of guy, all right? Or 10K. I'm more of a 6.2, maybe 5K.
Yeah, maybe 1.2.
Maybe 1.2 miles. Maybe we do the what do they call it? The fun walk, where it's just a 1 mile walk up and back.
We can walk our kids.
Yeah. You can put me on the spot there.
Yeah, no.
I'm averaging about 14, 15-minute miles right now. I'm pretty. Look, when I was in football in high school and junior high, I was probably averaging out a 5.6 40. I mean, I was smoking fast.
I had to think about that for a second. Like, wait a minute, that's way off, right?
I had dreams of being an NFL football player. The problem is I wasn't fast. I couldn't jump.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that athletic, but I had the spirit, right?
Right. That's what I told them last week. I was short and slow, but that's what I had going
No,
for me.
you were not short and slow.
Oh, man.
So Devin, he was in the military, and he was out in California and just moved out here and joined our team, and we're just happy to have him. And last week, you did very good on your introduction. At least you said you were married and had kids. I introduced to Travis, but I forgot Debbie and Reagan and Ryder, and I forgot to thank him for his service and all those others. But
absolutely,
we're excited to have
Flag
him
Day's
here.
coming up on Tuesday, and then the Army's birthday's coming up.
is,
So.
it
Yeah.
is.
What branch?
I was in the Marine Corps.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of attached to the Navy a bit. My dad was, big Navy, so it was Army over. Go Navy, never go Army. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's great. How long were you in?
I was in just shy of 8 years.
All right, man. Well, that's awesome. Well, we do thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Get you up there to do the colors sometime at the city council meeting.
Oh, easy there, easy
Yeah. I'll drag you into some committee.
Yeah, there you go.
We have veterans committees and openings coming up. I mean, there's all kinds of ways.
Have to dust off the old blues, huh?
Absolutely.
That's good. We're glad to have him on our team just for protection.
Yeah. Well, he's probably glad to be in Texas. He's
Yeah.
probably always glad to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Tell you, it was a fight getting down here. That's for sure. My wife, she's from LA, so big.
Really?
Big
Well, we
adjustment.
have trees and water.
Yeah, that's what I tell her.
Yeah. But now she's going to be out at Texas Tech.
That's
This is true.
fantastic.
This is true. Yeah.
That's good, man. Go wreck 'em, man. That's what we'll say.
Yeah, man, we're excited about football. What about you? Excited about
Hey,
football?
let's go. I get
Okay.
excited about all tech sports, but
Yeah.
I'm a homer, so I'll go.
Yeah.
My wife's a Sooner, and so y'all have to forgive that. And then my in-laws are big OSU Cowboys, and so I
Yeah.
I got to work those, issues. But God,
Yeah.
man, I hate the Sooners.
Oh,
Gosh.
kidding me? Aggies. I mean, especially when you bring up the Aggies.
Just don't talk about them at all. They're dead to me.
Yeah.
And
Well-
UT and OU are about to be dead to me as well.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I represent the city now. I got to be careful. Wait, I didn't mean that, Mr. Mayor of Austin.
But that's right. You do got to be careful what you say, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
Oh, my gosh.
I told a lot of people I'm not going to change being me. That's who
No,
I am.
I mean, and that's how you got to where you are today.
yeah,
being
I
yourself
am
and
what I am. Just
Yeah.
be me,
Just be me, and I mean,
and that's being a big time Red Raider homer. So
oh, that's good. Yeah, we were out at the football camp yesterday, and man, coach, he's just got lots of good things to say to these young kids, and he had a lot of his ball players out there helping out, and they're just good kids, just unbelievable.
it's positive.
It's very
I think
positive.
that's a big deal is coming in with positive, and that's one thing I talked about being positive. And y'all know that in your business, just
Yep.
when you come in and say, I may not be, the best, but I'm gonna give it my best, and
Right.
and then I'm gonna be positive in my approach. And half the time I've spent up at City Hall in the first few weeks is I just walked down floors.
Yeah,
I didn't go meet with the department heads right away. I just started walking on the floors and showing up in people's offices saying, "Hey, I'm Trey. I'm new here. Like,
Yeah.
Who are you?" And I'm like, "I work here." "What floor are you on?" "I'm on that one up there." I mean, most of them didn't even know me. They're like, "Oh, okay, good. Nice to meet you." But that was really fun to see and get the perspective of the clerk or the perspective of somebody who's just working, in one of those areas. That's how I feel like our football coach is, and Coach Adams and Coach Tadlock. I think they're
Oh,
just
all of them.
real and they're positive, and that is what you want in leadership, whether it's on the football field or it's at City Hall. You want positive leadership, and I think that's what we've got. I'm excited.
Oh man, we're so excited. Lots of things to be excited for.
Sure.
You know what? Well, fellas, you got anything else for our mayor? Anything you want to drill him with? Put him on the
man.
spot. I mean, he likes to talk.
Hey,
I'll put
listen,
him-
there was no video or audio or social media in the 90s when I was at Texas Tech. So let's just keep it at that.
We did talk a lot about growth. Do you want to mention some of those hidden gems that are here in Lubbock for you?
Oh, man, you talking about restaurants?
Every,
Oh, man, if I hit the restaurants, and somebody will get offended that I
Yeah.
didn't mention their
See,
restaurant.
he's got to be careful.
I mean, you can go out to Montelongo's anytime though and get some good. I mean, you can hit some. We got some hidden Mexican food gems. We really do have.
We're lucky.
I mean, we just are. We have so many good things, and people until you come out here, like Lubbock. I know that's what you were thinking when you
not me.
Yeah,
I'm from
well, no,
Clovis.
well,
so
yeah. Well,
I
he
know
said
about it.
Clovis. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much good going on. There's so much growth. We have bounced back from all the stuff from 2 years ago. I'm really encouraged by the direction of the city, and it's fun to watch, and it's fun to learn more about it and see the growth. I hope my girls decide to stay here and live in Lubbock, and hopefully have a lot of grandsons since I have only girls. And I want to create a place that they want to stay and people want to grow, and young professionals like you guys that want to stay here and build a business. And that's the goal of all of us, just to make it even better than it was before.
Right. Haven't you seen once someone graduates from tech, they move off. Most of them come back, don't they? Mostly attorneys. Have you noticed that?
Oh, man. Stinking lawyers.
There's lawyers everywhere.
I know, but it's because you realize you want to get away. And then I got away for a few years, and I'm back to West Texas. My family grew up in Levelland and Lubbock and Lubbock County. And, it brings you back because it's that family feeling. And we want to keep that. We don't want to grow so much where you lose that small town, hometown feeling, college town feeling, right? But you got to keep up with the growth at the same time.
Yep. Well, man, we really wanted to thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's
we had a
great.
good time. And if you ever want to come back, share some new things that are coming down the pipeline, please do.
I just work here, man. I'm just telling you. That's great. I appreciate you guys very
thank you.
much.
You betcha, man. And, hey, once again, I want to thank everybody for listening, and please continue to listen. This is our second episode, and we're growing, and we're just trying to learn with this. And we want to bring people in here that can share things about Lubbock, get you excited about Lubbock, and just really discover more things about Lubbock that you didn't know. But thank you once again. For for Wonder Tree Studios. Thank you, my host there, Travis and Devin. Sorry, the attorney took up all of our speaking time, but no.
You scraped the bottom of the barrel for talent today, boys.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for listening to 806-411 podcast. Have a good afternoon.